This is the Relevant Podcast.
It's episode 1196, and it's the Relevant Podcast here in Orlando. I'm your host, Cameron Strang, and joining me from Loverland, Virginia, is Jesse Carey.
Hello, hello.
From Nashville, our managing editor, downtown Emily Brown.
Hey, y'all.
The other two guys are on planes right now, just FYI.
Oh.
Without us.
You know, it's post Labor Day. You know, this is the Friday show. Labor Day was this week. Now we are entering into the fall. But did you all have a big last summer hurrah? Did you do anything memorable? I know you were in Chicago, right, Emily?
Yeah, for my friend's wedding, which was very fun.
And last night you got the triple dipper at Chili's.
Yeah, that's right. During our staff meeting yesterday, one of my friends texted me about getting the triple dipper at Chili's. Mind you, it's 10:30 in the morning. But it derailed my update in staff meeting.
What are the trifecta of contents that comprise a triple dipper?
Well, you get to pick. So I'm trying to think what all the options are. There's like chicken crisper options, the Big Mouth bites, Southwest egg rolls.
What's the Big Mouth bite? What is this?
Like the little like sliders.
You're speaking to a Chili's waiter. I am an alum of Chili's lore, but I don't know this new era of triple dipping. I know the Awesome Blossom era. I know
Awesome Blossom. I thought that was only Outback. Are you saying it's jumped? Is it a multi-chain?
Chili's used to have it, but like a long time ago, right?
Yeah, no, we had our version of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Like an onion.
You're right.
Yeah.
The bloomin' onion.
Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of onion.
We had the bloomin' onion, not the Awesome Blossom.
Yeah.
Right.
So
it's
a customizable trifecta of ranging from sliders to fried sliders and dips and things.
Yeah.
Now, you ate this at 10:45 in the morning?
No. We were in a staff meeting yesterday, and it was like 10:30 in the morning, and I was in the middle of just kind of updating staff on what, like some things, whatever. And my phone goes off because she texts me, and Cameron was like, I think he asked like, oh, who's texting you at 10:30 in the morning?
I specifically named group texts that I know about. Was it this one, or this one? Who's texting you?
And I'll expose myself. I am in a Harry Styles group chat and a separate Taylor Swift group chat. So it was neither one of those.
I was like, is there breaking news in the Harry Styles world that we need to know about during a staff meeting? Breaking news. And she was like, no. It's my friend asking if we want to go to Chili's tonight for dinner at 10:30 in the morning.
I was going to say, if you order a trifecta at Chili's at 10:45 in the morning, they give you a little card that says, if you're feeling depressed or need just some mental health issues to be addressed, please call this number. And it's a whole office at the Chili's headquarters that answered. They're like, we understand.
The one thing that bugged me about the movie Office Space, cult classic, great movie from the 90s, was that when she was working at the quote unquote TGI Fridays, the one with the flare, they went for like morning coffee. They're not open for morning coffee. They open at lunchtime. That always bugged me. That like they went over there to have a cup of coffee in the morning. And I was like, they don't do that.
I think you're paying too much attention to Office Space.
Well, I'm a realist, if nothing, like. Anyway.
Well, to be fair, that was like a fictionalized version of a Chili's that maybe this one had some weird brunch offering,
True. Maybe there's an egg scramble.
Maybe they were just
ahead
of
the game. I've only seen Office Space once, and it was actually in a high school class because the teacher played it for us.
I have been in this weird, I'm not a movie guy, I'm a TV guy, but I've been, my kid is getting to the age, he just started high school, that I've been wanting to make sure that he knows and appreciates the movies that I loved at his age. So I've been making him watch like 90s movies with me. Like the other night we watched Tombstone, which by the way, holds up. It's not a good 90s movie. It's a good movie. This is my favorite movies of all time. I had him watch Napoleon Dynamite the week before
Classic.
He was like, yeah, it's fine. Because think about it, like mumblecore movies are like common now. I mean, he doesn't realize how groundbreaking it was. You know what I mean? And then I had him watch, what was the other one? Anyway, we've been going down all these 90 movies and I'm having fun. So like I just rewatched Office Space myself like 3 months ago. It holds up. It's great.
Office Space holds up. Napoleon Dynamite, especially with kids, not really. Like I was thinking my kids are going to find this hilarious. And, it was a little honestly upsetting. Like, there's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of concerning parenting happening. There's, Uncle Rico's kind of a creep. Like, it's like, oh, this did not age like it did in my mind. And it's not the perfect film for, like the egg scene where they go to like the chicken factory.
Mm-hmm.
That just seems like borderline child labor. Like deeply
Borderline.
concerning.
He paid him like $6 in nickels for the entire day's work.
And
of course, it was
raw eggs. Anyway, it was a little upsetting, especially for like an 8-year-old girl.
Okay, I do want to say, that movie came out when I was in 5th grade, so I was like 10 or 11. I watched it religiously. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I watched that movie because I thought it was the funniest thing in the world. So maybe she just needs to give it some more tries.
I was trying to explain to Cohen that this movie came out. And Anchorman and Nacho Libre and whatever. And this is before social media and before memes. And so it's like we all were watching these movies and saying the words of them, the quotes, the phrases, like those were like living memes. Yeah. I was like, you got to understand, it was just a different time, man. And Napoleon Dynamite just aesthetically looked like nothing else. It was just like,
well, it kind of looked like Wes Anderson. That was the thing. It was always sort of like,
bit, but less colorful.
Well, but it had like a real distinct palette. And the other thing that it had in common with Wes Anderson, and a lot of Jared Hess's movies have this, and so do Wes Anderson, which I feel I like Jared Hess, and he's moved into documentaries. He made a really great one about. I
was going to ask you, like, whatever happened to the Napoleon Dynamite guy? So he's now doing what? What did he do after the Napoleon Dynamite? Because he made the whole movie for $400,000 and like everything.
So then he made Nacho Libre after that.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense.
He made a film called Gentlemen Broncos that was starred like one of the Flight of the Conchords guys.
Love.
And he made another one about like actually a biblical archaeologist that starred Sam Rockwell. None of them really caught the same, they didn't really have the same level of success as Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite, but he's actually moved into like true crime documentary filmmaking. But all that to say, his early style was, again, I like his movies, but I feel like it was a little derivative of Wes Anderson in that like the wardrobe is very indistinguishable. We might be late 80s to like mid 90s, but it's never really established. It's very like storybookish, a lot like hyper stylized, like at the beginning of Rushmore, they open a book and you're actually in a story, or the same thing with Grand Budapest Hotel. It's like they're reflections on like a book. So everything sort of had I like that style, but I feel like it's a little derivative of Wes Anderson, though I do like his movies.
You mentioned Flight of the Conchords. That's on the list of things I want to expose Cohen to, but I don't think that kind of humor will hold up. Like, I loved Flight of the Conchords back in the day, but I'm just like, humor has progressed. Like indie, humor has progressed since then. I just think he'll look at it and be like, so I was raised in a family that listened to like Black Gospel, Motown, things like that. I did not have the Beatles in my house, right? So everybody's talking about how great the Beatles are. So finally, as an adult, I went back and I was like, I want to understand, because I'm into like indie music and, whatever. And I want to understand the Beatles. So I went and, I'm going to deep dive their discography. And I'm listening to all of the Beatles and I'm just like, music is better now. Like, because the Beatles started something. Now, granted, they were groundbreaking for the time. Like what was going on musically was groundbreaking. And then a whole generation came after them and built on what they started. And then another generation came after that and built on what they started. So I feel like music is better now than the Beatles. So like, I don't hold the Beatles in this high regard. I feel the same way about certain 90s movies, early 2000s movies, where it's like, yeah, it was groundbreaking at the time, Flight of the Conchords, but humor has progressed and it looks stale and not as good as what we know now, right?
I think it's a fair observation, though. The only point I think I would push back on is progression versus evolution, and better versus more in tune to modern sensibilities. Like, especially with like, because like there were certain also technical restrictions with the Beatles, right? They didn't have computers. These were largely guys with 4 instruments that they were playing with their bare hands. There was and it was on celluloid tape, right? There's nothing digital. So they were playing. Right. But the other thing too is like with humor, I feel like the internet has changed people's sensibilities like 100%. Dramatically, where slow burn, absurdist, like sketches don't really work like they used to. Like sort of the outlier is like, I think you should leave. But that still has a very memeable sensibility. But like, especially like TikTok has really changed, I feel like, how like people absorb comedy because of jump cuts. Like, where Flight of the Conchords was shot like almost like a film, where it is like these long cuts. Now in comedy, jump cutting has become the standard, largely because of TikTok. It's like, say the joke, cut to somebody's reaction, cut to this guy, cut to that, and then like a punchline in text. And it just evolved sensibilities.
I'm going to go one back from TikTok, Adult Swim. I think Adult Swim started it. It was like short form. We don't sit through 30 minutes. We're going to sit through 3. And it's the ADD. I get why, I get their target audience and the mental state of their target audience.
At 2 a.m.
Yes, I get it. But I think that did introduce a form of comedy and absurdist humor and stuff that then social media just ran with and like even evolved and perfected. But I do think Adult Swim was kind of the outlier of like, they're doing something we've never seen before.
Well, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I think like a really good example is like on SNL, they have those Please Don't Destroy guys who like their humor is, like you said, like very like they got famous on TikTok and like the kind of internet cut humor, like stuff like that. But they only make those skits for SNL. Like they're not in any sketches on the show because it's like these are 2 different kinds of humor. And it is really interesting because I feel like those clips always go really viral because they're great for the internet, but the audience at SNL, depending on who you are, might not necessarily like it as much.
You need to listen. If you're interested in that, you need to listen to the Lonely Island with Seth Meyers podcast that's going on right now. They are literally talking through all of the Lonely Island SNL sketches. Yeah. Each episode goes into one of them. And they obviously built on what Robert Zemeckis started with the little like TV timeouts
TV
and stuff like
Funhouse,
that. TV Funhouse. But it's so interesting. What they introduced was the digital camcorder lo-fi, which became kind of the internet video thing. And then now this generation, the Please Don't Destroy kids, grew up on that. Like that's the OG. Yeah. So I'm trying to introduce Cohen to the OG stuff so he understands where like this all came from. Yeah, it's just interesting just to see the evolution of music and comedy and film and all this stuff. And I've literally, because he's at this pivotal age where I develop my own taste. He's far ahead of me on developing his own, music taste and things like that. He's a great creative kid, but I'm trying to like, hey, I loved these movies. I love these TV shows back then when I was your age. I hope you love them too. And it's like, he liked Napoleon Dynamite. It was fine. I mean, it wasn't groundbreaking for him, right? And he was like, and Tombstone, he fell asleep 3/4 of the way through it. And I'm like, the last quarter is the best quarter. What are you doing? Like, I'm like, we are rewatching the last 30 minutes of this movie,
One more observation about, because I do feel like some stuff comes full circle, right? So when you think about like the height of comedic delivery, it was at one point, probably one of the most consumed was like the Sunday funnies, right? Which, tons of people got the newspaper and turned right to the funny pages because it was basically humor. But think about the format of that. It was pictures with just little text on it, kind of culminating in something like Family Circus or The Far Side, where you didn't need more than one block. It was an image with text on it and it made you laugh. If you think about what you see on like Instagram or X, that is what a meme is. It's a single image with text that interjects the joke, but it's going full circle to the most simplistic form of delivery, which started in the funny pages. You know what I mean? Like meme culture has sort of, I don't think they co-opted it. I think it kind of evolved organically. But when you think about the evolution and kind of full circle nature of it, it's like, oh yeah, like this has worked before, because when you see a funny image and put some juxtaposing text that introduces a punchline, it just works,
It's true. Also, go watch Tombstone. It's really good.
No,
It's just the last half hour.
I'm pretty sure my dad made me watch it, and I think I fell asleep too. I'm so sorry.
There's a lot of movies like that, like Rudy. I don't know when the last time do you guys remember Rudy, the football
I'm going to
movie?
make him watch it. I haven't
was
watched
another
it.
one my dad
I
made me
haven't watched it in
watch.
30 years. I'm going to make him watch it.
Can I give you a hint here? There's not a play of football in that movie until
That's not the point. It's a human interest story. It's a story of a family.
Movie.
You could just bring him up. You could just
It's
bring him up
not.
to speed. You're gonna be like, buddy, I'm gonna just blast. We're gonna start on hour 2. I'll just say what happened. This guy really wanted to play at Notre Dame, and his family told him he couldn't. Let's go. Here we go. The movie starts an hour in.
Oh my gosh, you have the shortest attention span.
No,
man.
what have you guys ever seen Deer Hunter?
No.
The classic Vietnam movie. I remember I never was so disappointed in my life. Literally the first 45 minutes, they're at a wedding and just hanging out. And it's to like establish their community and their friendship. I thought I was watching a Sweet Nam action movie. Okay. I'm watching Christopher Walken and his buddies at a wedding for 45 straight minutes before, there's any hunting or Vietnam
or
action.
deer.
Yeah.
Emily, what did you think about what was the Lord of the Rings one where like the little elf people, like the whole movie started with a 45-minute dinner scene? As he was talking, that's what made
Lord of the Rings.
No, that's the first Hobbit.
no,
that was
no.
the first Hobbit.
Oh, the first Hobbit. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch any of the Lord of the Rings Hobbit movies until maybe like 3 years ago. I went in knowing that this might not be for me, but I wanted to understand why people were so obsessed. It was fine. I think about half of every single film could have been cut, just because there was a lot of walking, a lot of just like chit chatting that wasn't really that interesting. But I did watch it with my dad because he to this day still educates me on what movies I should watch. I will say I think my favorite one that he ever made me watch with him that I ended up loving too was Dazed and Confused. It just was a really good movie. That being said, I don't know how Cohen might not be old enough for that one. Yeah. But one day when he's 18, he will love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, we're not doing the R's yet, except Tombstone's an R, but it's not a...
I think Office Space is an R.
We haven't watched Office Space together.
Okay.
I haven't do that. But you're right. I remember, that's a language R. Tombstone's just a OK Corral gunfight R. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said they could have just jumped right to that. Like, who cares about the relationships and the states?
It's a
and the
true
politics?
story, first of all. So you have to understand the context of who Wyatt Earp was, his brothers, who the Cowboys are, which is the first version of organized crime in America. They would go down into Mexico, rustle up cattle, steal them, bring them over the border. Like, you have to understand the context to understand why the gunfight at the OK Corral was so pivotal.
No, but I understand it based on the 2 sentences you just told me.
That's why the original. I'm not even a Star Wars guys, but I recognize.
I didn't tell you a Wyatt Earp story.
Listen, this is why I'm not a Star Wars guy at all. But I can recognize why the first ones worked, because all the boring stuff they got away. They just blasted through with literal text on screen in a galaxy far. Like, just bring me up to speed. Who's this? Who's that? What are we doing here? And let's jump to the action. Tombstone could have been like this. Wyatt Earp, just scrolling across the screen, stole cattle and moved across the border. They all met for this epic.
No, you're saying it all wrong. First of all, okay, so I just watched. The reason why I made him watch Tombstone was last weekend. I ended up watching some documentary about the true story of Tombstone, Arizona, and whatever. And it was like a 6-hour multi-episode documentary. So fascinating.
You just gotta go to Tombstone at this point.
Years of story before, years of story after. Tombstone was the crux. And the geopolitical...
Star Wars blasted through like 200 years of geopolitical history in 15 seconds of text and just put us in the action.
And immediately just jumped that we're in a different galaxy. Didn't have to set up anything. Just like... We're there.
But to your point, like, so then the reason why this story is famous is the rise of newspapers and sensationalism to sell newspapers. People in the big cities loved the tawdry stories of the Wild West, and it was like a newspaper battle of who,
Are you talking about
what
Newsies?
narrative. No, I'm literally talking about Tombstone. Like, why is this a famous story? Why are these people known today? And so it was like 6 hours of information, all this stuff, whatever. And so then when I watched the movie Tombstone, they literally spend the first 2 minutes doing exactly what you asked. They're just telling you context, showing you black and white clips of like who all these players are, who all these people are. And we're going to jump into the story of when Wyatt Earp moved his family out there, right? We're jumping in. So it did exactly what you're wanting. And that's why I'm like, I want to watch the movie again because like I want to see what the 2-hour version of this true story was. And to be fair, they did a very good job being like true to this actual story. Obviously, they had to leave out a ton of information. I think they did a great job. You should watch it. It's a great movie. One of my favorites of all time.
One more hot take.
What do you feel about Field of Dreams?
Great. Excellent.
I tried to get Cohen to watch that thing like a month ago. I got about 10 minutes in.
I always get that one mixed up with Angels in the Outfield.
You really got to appreciate like the nuances of like historic baseball, though.
No, see, I hate baseball. I have no appreciation for baseball. I loved it for the father-son thing, right?
Yeah.
Any father-son movie is going to get me. And I wanted to watch it with my son. He doesn't like baseball either, but I don't like baseball. I thought he would love it. He literally wouldn't even. Dead Poet Society, same thing. He had no interest.
Yeah.
Wait, that one's a really good one. He should give that one another try.
So, they don't hold up to modern eyes. I'm telling you, they don't hold up.
I have one hot take that this is a hill I'll die on. True stories should not be movies. Because we can all read Wikipedia, or if we really want, we can watch like a Netflix docuseries that brings us up to speed. Because true stories, I'm always
Truth
watching.
Is stranger than fiction.
No,
it's better.
No, it's not. Because if aliens came down in the middle in the gunfight at the OK Corral, that is stranger than what happened, and probably more watchable for modern.
Wasn't that Aliens versus Cowboys? I think that was a movie.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Like true stories could always be made better with a good writer. Like if I want to know what happened, a movie is not the forum to tell me. Like a movie's entertainment. Just give me stuff that really interesting writers that understand pacing, sketched out.
That is a hot take.
The current season of Only Murder in the Building is Paramount is wanting to make a movie about the people. And so you would not enjoy this season.
I didn't like last season. I didn't like the play. I'm not into the world of theater. Like when it abandoned the world of podcasting and took up theater, I was like, nah, I'm out. Like this just isn't it.
But they did a whole podcast about the murder in the theater.
It really took a back seat to the theater stuff. I feel like the first season was so into the nuances of podcasting, and then the second season really was more concerned with the nuances of creating a theater production, and podcast stuff took a back seat. I'm not saying it was better or worse. I'm just saying I wasn't interested.
Well, I do think they leaned into Martin Short's, personality, theater, over the topness and stuff. The Meryl Streep edition was fantastic. I thought she was great last season. I saw Only Murder in the Building be promoted like, oh, the first episode of the new season's out. And I started to watch it last week, and literally like they're recapping the season before and they were showing all these scenes. And I was like, I have no recollection of any of these scenes. So then I was like, and it's connected. I mean, they're like, it's a through line from last season to this one. And so I stopped this and I watched all of last season last week. Yeah. And then caught up, and I liked it. I thought it was good. But I could see if you're wanting the serial, Sarah Koenig kind of like behind the scenes podcasting, that definitely did take backseat. You're right.
Well, but the other thing, this is the greatest like I feel like narrative device it's not even modern. Like they've been doing it for I don't know however long there's been serialized television, and I love it. Previously on, and they just recap it right there. I don't need to go back. Like just hit me hit me with the essential stuff. I love that narrative device. One, I have a terrible memory, but two, it's like, I skipped that one because I was bored. And they're going to tell me at the beginning of the episode. The
funny thing for me is 90% of my TV watching is binging. So when each episode has that, it's like skip recap.
I know. I just watched it.
I just watched it 6 minutes ago. Anyway, all right. Well, let's move the show along. We have a great show today. Aodhan King joins us. You know him from previously from Hillsong Young and Free. He has a new solo album out. We talked to him about that. Also, at the end of the show, we have your feedback. Stay tuned. Up next is Relevant Buzz. You're listening to Jungle. The song is Let's Go Back. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Mercy Ships. Globally, 5 billion people lack access to surgical care. In sub-Saharan Africa, there's only one surgeon for every 200,000 people. Mercy Ships provides free, life-transforming surgeries for people who have little to no access to medical care. They help the blind see, straighten twisted limbs, remove deadly tumors, treat cleft conditions, and so much more. With state-of-the-art hospital ships, they provide safe surgery to children and adults living with treatable conditions, and it's completely free of charge. They do all this work with an all-volunteer crew of professionals who donate their time and talents. Surgeons, stewards, nurses, engineers, and more make the world a better place. Your donation today provides free, safe surgeries to people in desperate need of help. All gifts are matched, so please donate today at mercyships.org/relevant. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Tim Tebow's book, Look Again. Have you ever wondered what would change if you truly believed you were infinitely valuable to God? In his New York Times bestselling book, Look Again, Tim Tebow reveals the powerful truth that when we learn to see the image of God in every person, including those we struggle to love, everything changes. Tebow shares incredible stories from his work with people the world often overlooks, and it will challenge you to stand up to the lies, rediscover the worth that everyone has, and impact the world for good. Find Look Again by Tim Tebow, available now wherever books are sold. Okay, it's time for
Relevant Buzz.
Tell us what's happening at the intersection of faith and culture this week, Emily.
Okay, well, over the weekend, Netflix released a new horror movie directed by Lee Daniels called The Deliverance. And it reminded me, are y'all big horror guys? Yes or
Zero.
no?
Never seen a horror movie, never will.
It's got to be the right premise, like it can't, or like an interesting execution. Otherwise, I don't have like, what's that streaming horror one?
Oh yeah, there's like a what is that one called?
Anyway, but they make a lot. Like Jordan Peele or someone like that.
Sure,
I like fresh takes on it. Anyway,
yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, if there's something interesting about it, I'm good with it. Let me tell you about this movie and why it caught our attention. So it's based on true events of a family in Gary, Indiana. It's about a single mom played by Andra Day taking care of her 3 sick kids and her sick mom, played by Glenn Close, and they live in this haunted house and they're being possessed by demons. And there's a lot of movies about demon possessions, right? Like there's been, so many genres that just about this. And so Lee Daniels studied those stories for this movie before he started making it. And he realized that if he was going to make this movie, he wanted some sort of spiritual protection. So he hired an on-set preacher to pray for the cast and crew every day during filming.
Hallelujah. Wow.
Yeah. What was really interesting, though, is he told Variety in an interview that Netflix, who distributed the film, sent someone from HR to tell him, like, hey, this could kind of be offensive. You can't really do that. And he told them he's not going into this every day without praying. And so he told the cast and crew, like, you don't have to be here when the preacher's here. But nearly all 200 cast and crew members stayed because they clearly wanted to be prayed over. Yeah. And so we saw this because Andra Day, she was on CBS Sunday Mornings talking about just kind of how she was relieved to have this pastor on set. And we have a clip of her talking here.
Y'all had a preacher on set that prayed every day, and you prayed with the group. Why was that important for you?
Well, I didn't know he was going to be there at first, so I was really happy he was there because I'm a praying person, so I like to pray before every scene, before everything that we do, every show. And
Nate, before she came out here, we were praying in the green room. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Before you came out here, yes.
But I think, and having, his name was Apostle Lewis, and he was amazing to have on set. And I think what it meant is that we're taking seriously the topics that we're dealing with, not just dealing with the paranormal and the spirit realm, but also taking seriously the emotional weight of what it is that we're dealing with. You know, these characters do stay with you. They can traumatize you for sure. And so, but I think that's also, sometimes we are to take certain things seriously, but I also don't believe that we're supposed to be walking in fear. And that's a part of the reason I agreed to do the movie, is that I was sort of reminded through prayer that, like, I have authority over these things. These things are underfoot, and it was important for me to remember that and to show this woman exemplifying that and overcoming that. So it was amazing having him on set and praying with the team, and, you know, it was great.
You know, Andrew,
I think that is very wise. I like what she says there. I like the spiritual perspective, but also I'm not like you know, I think we all have our different backgrounds, and you know, Cameron and I grew up in, you know, particularly charismatic circles where sometimes, again, I'm trying to be diplomatic here, but there were, in those circles, there were people who were prone to superstition as much as they were spirituality. So sometimes you had to kind of use some discernment on stuff, and it kind of made me probably a little bit jaded to like supernatural stuff. But I do remember Scott Derrickson, who has been in the magazine, big time filmmaker, and he's doing Marvel movies now, you know, but one of his first films was an exorcism film, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I'm pretty sure he spoke to the magazine about back in the day. He said that during the filming of that, a lot of weird stuff was happening. The lead actress, her radio in her room where she was staying would turn on in the middle of the night and repeat the line from Pearl Jam's I'm Still Alive, where it just says, I'm still alive. I'm still alive, like on repeat multiple nights, and no one had any explanation.
And I'm out. Like literally, I'm done. I would be gone.
But Scott Derrickson said that wasn't something from the film. That was happening on set because it was the same, you know, he was just saying like the implication was even filming those stories. You're dabbling in something that is, you know, there's a degree of like spiritual darkness with. And if you're a religious person, you know, it's probably better to take that seriously, you know?
Yep.
Yeah. But that's a real Scott Derrickson story.
Yeah. It is very interesting that how that stuff is happening behind the scenes, but, you know, glad that people are taking their faith seriously, and doing what they're supposed to be doing. Speaking of people taking their faith seriously, I want to talk about this next thing. Do you guys remember last year there were a lot of these like spontaneous student gatherings and baptisms happening on college campuses at like Auburn, University of Georgia? Like, do y'all remember all those that were happening last year?
Baylor.
Yeah.
I remember Auburn was Jenny Allen was speaking at a gathering, and then they all afterwards went outside to like the pond and just baptized kids. That was great.
Yeah. And you can see those videos. There's just like thousands of people there. Well, college started up last week, and looks like those services are back because at Ohio State last weekend.
Boo. Sorry.
The Ohio State.
The Ohio State. Yeah, the Buckeyes. Nearly 1,000 students attended one of these services where dozens of students got saved in these, like they brought out these like huge tubs of water for kids to get baptized. And what's really cool about this is that the event was led by 4 Ohio State football players. They like each got up on stage.
Oh, sorry.
You're booing these football players sharing their testimony?
I hope they repented for playing for such an evil.
Maybe the Lord will be working on their heart and they'll move
for
on.
Such a scandal-ridden institution.
That's Michigan, isn't it?
That's all of them. It's all of them.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
I have a whole Michigan take after watching that documentary. That's a whole nother pod, but continue. I don't know if you guys watched that about the sign stealing.
No interest.
Well, I'll wait.
No, I just wanted to bring this up because it's just really cool to see like all these videos of like literally thousands of students like coming out for this. And like, I mean, I know y'all went to a Christian university. I went to a state one. We were not having events where thousands of students were coming out and like getting saved and hearing the message. So like, this is very unique. Like there is clearly something happening on college campuses right now. And we are excited about that. And I ideally I would bring a story like this every week. Like I would love that personally.
And the fact that it was football player led, you know, obviously is part of what attracted the crowd. It's like, hey, there's our guys. And then they're up there sharing their faith boldly, wearing like Christian t-shirts and stuff. It was really amazing to see. And honestly, you see one and then it's like that kind of sparks the idea at another campus and another. I would love to see this kind of snowball. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. It's a really cool organic thing.
But I'll tell you, if a college revival spreads from across the nation, across the world, and it all comes back, and history books say it started because of Ohio State football players, that's going to be very disappointing to me.
It's gonna lead to a lot of people having a crisis of faith. The whole deconstruction, the
revival skips the entire state of Michigan.
The whole deconstruction movement like kicks back up again because a lot of people are just very conflicted.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
great. That's great.
Okay, all right. We're moving on to the last thing. I can't handle this. I don't even like Ohio State, but I can't listen to this slander.
The Ohio State.
State. Sorry.
You have to lean into how dumb they are. Anyway,
I keep disrespecting them. Okay. last thing, normally, we recommend like songs or music coming out or movies coming out that are just like can't miss. They're so important, so impactful. You need to hear this. And what I'm about to recommend might be one of the most important things that we've ever talked about on the show.
I know what it is.
I love how we talked about what did Napoleon Dynamite guy do after, and now we're talking about, it's like the hint is this is the Tiger King people's next project. So
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
sees it on the
Chimp
screen.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. If you don't know, if you haven't been watching this docuseries, you are seriously missing out. This literally is the same director as Tiger King, so know that it's at that level. The series has been putting out parts for the last few weeks. The finale is coming out this Sunday, so you need to start watching it right now so you can watch the finale with us. So yeah, the director found his next muse, his next Joe Exotic, if you will, in a woman named Tanya Haddix, who refers to herself as the Dolly Parton of chimps. And if that doesn't get you interested, I don't really know what will. But it is about like her just obsession with chimpanzees, and she like owned some of them and like helped rescue some of them. But there's a lot of gray area there. But it follows her legal battle with PETA, who is convinced she is illegally hiding a famous chimp named Tonka. And I'm not going to give away spoilers, but we are going to play the trailer for you.
Tonka and I just found each other, and Tonka loved me as much as I loved Tonka. It was meant to be. It was just natural. It's like your love for God. And I'll do anything to protect that primate. Anything.
That fight over chimpanzees should be
the chimpanzee
over.
Lady now making national news.
They're going to have to bring sheriffs, and they're going to have to bring everything that they can. I would give anything that I had possession-wise up for that child. I would give my life for him. And that's exactly what I did.
Jesse, have you been watching this at all?
No, I'm waiting to binge the whole thing.
Okay.
This is one that I will hunker down. But I do love the fact that the Tiger King guy, it's like, he's like, for his next project, isn't like, I'm going to show the world that I'm a really great storyteller by just finding a new, unique story. It's like, no, I'm really locked into people that own rednecks that own large, dangerous animals on the fringes of the law. Like, well, Jesse, I love that that's the beat.
What's crazy is because Tiger King was so successful, he is known in the crazy animal people world. Like his face is known because, he's a famous director. And so in the first episode of this one, which is a 4-part docuseries, in the first one, he says this, like, I know about this other world of chimp owners, but they won't let me do a documentary about them because they saw Tiger King. So he hires a fake director. So there, he never interacts with any of these people. An actor does. An actor playing a director does. It's the craziest world, dude. There's stuff you find out. There's stuff you see, and it's like the Tiger King story started to spread, not just to Carol Baskin, but to like the crazy guy in South Carolina, the crazy people in Texas. That's what starts to happen with Chimp World, is like they focused in on this one story, and then you realize there's a network of it, and like they shot it over years. They started in 2020 up until recently. And it took that long for them to gain trust and infiltrate the whole world of the chimp owners. And what's interesting to us is it's not just a crazy Tiger King story, but there's really an ethics question of the tension between freedom and American values of freedom, and then like right and wrong and the ethics of animal cruelty and animal treatment. And it's like, it really does a great job balancing crazy characters with actually deeper themes. And if you look back on Tiger King, it did too. I mean, it obviously followed the murder plot storyline and some crazy sensational stuff. But if you reflect on Tiger King, it really is like who's right and who's wrong, like what, all that. And that this one does that even more. Like it makes you think. So it's great.
You're going to have a great time with it, Jesse.
Oh, I can't wait. Domestic monkey ownership has long been an interest of mine. So
I know this.
Yeah, it's
I think you're going to have some hot takes after this.
Actually, if you can in any way, you and Dana can binge the first 3 and watch on Sunday night, I want your take next week when we record.
All right, done.
All right, great. All right. Well, that'll do it for Relevant Buzz. Make sure to check out those stories and a lot more over at relevantmagazine.com, where we cover the intersection of faith, culture, and everything in between. Thanks, Emily. All right. Stay tuned. Up next, Aodhan King joins us. You're listening to Telenova. The song is January. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by John Mark Comer's book, Garden City, a book that speaks to the tension we all feel between work, rest, and purpose. The New York Times bestselling author John Mark Comer takes us to the scriptures to identify what it really means to be human and flips the script on the idea that who you are matters, not what you do. He shows that God created us for meaningful work and meaningful rest. Both matter. This book helps you ask and answer the big questions. Does God care where I work? Is there a direction for my life? So you can discern God's heart for your calling, your rhythms, and the way His Spirit wants to shape every part of your life. If you're longing for purpose and a more grounded way to live, check out the new hardcover edition of Garden City wherever books are sold. Well, today's show is brought to you in part by the new book, God, the Science, the Evidence. We talk a lot about faith, but how often do we talk about science in the same breath? You might be surprised to discover just how deeply the two actually agree. For centuries, science has been used to dismiss the idea of God, but today an intellectual revolution is underway. Modern discoveries in physics, cosmology, and biology are consistently revealing the same truth: creation isn't an accident. That profound reversal is what engineers Michel-Yves Bolloré and Olivier Bonassi investigate in their international bestseller, God, the Science, the Evidence. This book is a rigorous, evidence-based critique of materialism, inviting you to explore over a dozen scientific, philosophical, and historical domains. It shows that what was once seemed impossible, that science could point to a creator, is now supported by a vast and convergent body of evidence. With over 400,000 copies sold in Europe, this book is sparking a global debate. It's thoughtful, fascinating, and a powerful reminder that reason itself affirms the existence of God. Learn more and find out where you can purchase your copy today by visiting godthesciencetheevidence.com. Today's podcast is brought to you in part by Erwin McManus's book, The Barbarian Way. Some books don't just inspire you, they confront you. The Barbarian Way, now celebrating its 20th anniversary, is one of those books. If you felt the pull of God towards something deeper and wilder than the safe, predictable version of faith that we settle for, McManus reminds us that following Jesus was never meant to be tame. It's meant to awaken courage, passion, and purpose God placed inside us. He draws from the wild stories of Abel, Noah, Moses, Rahab, and others to remind us that following God wasn't meant to be tame. Safe faith isn't working. Step into the story God is writing for you. Choose passion, choose boldness, choose the Barbarian Way. Available now wherever books are sold. Well, our guest today is Aodhan King. You know him from Hillsong Young and Free, but ever since the group took a quote-unquote break in 2022, he's been working on his first solo project. He just released his first single with Paul Klein from Laney. So we caught up with him to hear more about his new music and why he wants to break down barriers in the worship space. Here's Aodhan King.
What has it been like for you to create a project that is just completely your own?
Yeah, really fun. It was a pretty similar process. You know, I worked with a lot of the same guys that I would work with when I worked on, Hillsong stuff or whatnot. And so the writing process was pretty similar, but there was less, when we're writing for Young and Free or writing for Hillsong, we're writing for a particular context. We're writing for the church, and, the lyrics need to be a certain way. There was just a lot more kind of not red tape so much, but like just boundaries, okay, we're writing this for a church service Sunday morning, 8 a.m. And I think, writing for my own thing, I didn't really have any of those rules. It was kind of just like, let's just throw paint and see what works and see what makes sense. And so that was kind of freeing. And I guess the whole process kind of like helped me even find my own voice a lot more. You know, I think with Hillsong, a lot of us kind of writing was something we loved to do, but it was also like a service in a lot of ways. It was like you would almost sometimes forgo what you loved in order to be like, okay, I know I don't particularly love this idea, but I think this makes sense in the church context. And so I kind of got to come back to being like, okay, I'm only going to do things if I love them. And so that was really cool.
So I open up and let you in.
You said that you're creating worship music, but I'm curious, at any point, were you ever considering maybe trying a different lane?
Yeah, it's a full worship record. So that was kind of the journey of the last 3 years. Was I moved here with the intention of putting out a pop record, and I was like signed to like management over here, like was about to sign a deal, was working with A&Rs here, had a full record done that was pop. And over the course of a couple of years being here, it just felt like, not that didn't feel right, but I was like, not having the outlet that Hillsong was. You know, worship's always been that was the place where I discovered my love for music in the first place. And so it felt like the right place. If I was going to do something on my own, that's where I wanted to start. And so this is like a full worship record. And even throughout the process, like Jason Ingram is one of the producers on the record, Jason and Ben Tan. And Jason was so just like on me about making sure that if I'm making a decision that this is going to be a worship record, then it's a worship record. And like from like thematically, musically, like he was so like in every detail, making sure that, okay, we're staying on track. So that was really cool. So yeah, I could definitely say this is just like a straight up worship record.
You hold my heart, and it's all too much for me, and I fall apart.
I gotta be honest, I was really surprised by your first single with Paul Klein from Laney, who is a Christian, but not necessarily a Christian artist, because he's just someone I never expected to hear on a worship song. So why did you want to collaborate with him? And are there more artists like that you want to work with?
Yeah, so the record is essentially like how it all came about was, you know, a lot of conversations throughout the years of COVID, not COVID, since I moved here, where, you know, I had a lot of indecision about what to do with myself personally, musically, and even just being in America by myself, being like, what am I doing? And I think over the course of those years, like a lot of friends who are in the music space as well, who are working in different genres. And I think it was pretty obvious to me that a lot of them were like, you know, a lot of people encourage me in the worship space. And so, but a lot of these people also would love to sing in the worship space, but haven't had like the ability to do that. You know, they love Jesus but they're in a pop band, or they love Jesus and they're in like an indie rock band. And if they talked about Jesus in their band, then that wouldn't be good for them. And so slowly but surely, you know, I'd be writing songs with these guys, and it would just make sense. They're like, oh, I'd love to sing on this. And I'm like, okay, well, like, how does that work? Like, and throughout the process of writing the record, it was obvious to me that the record was kind of just like this inclusive record, in that I was including voices that I know for a fact we wouldn't have been able to do had I been in Young and Free. And not because of some legalistic reason, but because Hillsong we're writing songs based out of our church. So it's the people that attend our church, go to our church. And so that was also part of the process that became really freeing, was that I would be like, oh, okay, I can have Paul Klein sing on this song with me. You know, he's in Laney, but like, that doesn't matter. I don't need to ask anyone's permission. He loves Jesus. He's never sung about Jesus publicly, and he wants to. So cool. So the whole record has become this space of like giving people, there's a lot of features on the record, and a lot of people who haven't sung publicly, like they maybe worshipped in their church when they were younger, or haven't for a long time and have always wanted to. And so the record's become this like open space for those people to have like a place to sing worship songs, which, you know, has always been like, I've always loved that. I've always loved the ability to allow worship to be this space that everyone can just be unified. And so that's the record. And that was the heart of it. I just wanted to like kind of break down a lot of those barriers, and maybe they only existed within me, like where, you know, you couldn't sing worship if you weren't at church 17,000 times a week. Like that was just kind of the culture that, you know, a lot of us got so used to. And so that's why this record feels really important to me, is that it's giving voice to a lot of people that haven't had that opportunity before.
I think it's really cool that you're trying to bring in sort of new voices into the Christian music space, because I haven't seen a lot of worship artists do that yet, but I think a lot of Christian listeners would really love to see it more.
Yeah, no, it feels really great, and I feel like that was it felt natural, and so that's why I feel like, to me, I'm like, you can't. It's not like a forced thing, if that makes sense, you know. And all these guys, like, even through their own art, like, I feel like I've experienced like the presence of Jesus in all of the stuff that they do, you know, and that it hasn't been, it's not, they're not explicitly saying Jesus, but it's like, I just think like the gift that they have is a gift from God, and you can't help but see Jesus in when people actually just use their talents and their God-given gifts. So yeah, it's really sweet.
Thank you so much, Jesus. You're all I ever needed.
That was Aodhan King. Make sure to listen to his new single, Thank You So Much, Jesus. It's out now. All right, stay tuned. Up next, it's your feedback.
Hold on for me, 'cause I'll be there in January. No, don't you leave. I've lost the words, they don't come easy. But all the songs you used to love, and all the stars that shine above for you, will say the words that I can say.
You're listening to Bank, the song. Well, today's podcast is brought to you in part by the new book, Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic. Author Jonathan Seidel knows firsthand how even believers can get stuck in shame and destructive habits, especially when it comes to one of society's biggest obsessions, alcohol. In Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic, he details his spiral into disordered drinking and shares the 4-step process he eventually used to break free. There's hope for alcoholics who become Christians and for Christians who become alcoholics. Find Confessions of a Christian Alcoholic wherever books are sold. What if you could change a child's life with just $10? Right now, thousands of vulnerable children in East Africa are suffering from jiggers. It's a painful, preventable parasite that burrows into their feet. Soul Hope is the only organization treating it through foot washing, medical care, and durable closed-toed shoes that protect kids long after treatment. $10 may not seem like much in today's world, but when we come together, those small gifts add up to big change. Join the 10 for 10 campaign. $10 protects 10 small toes. Visit soulhope.org/10 to give now. One small gift makes a big difference. Again, that's Soulhope, SOLE, hope.org/TEN. Is Grin. Okay, it's time for your feedback. Last week, we got talking about the news during Relevant Buzz, the news that Chick-fil-A is launching its own streaming service with original programming. We went down the rabbit hole of coming up with ideas for the new streaming service, but then we wanted your input as well. So we asked you to hit us up and tell us your ideas for the new Chick-fil-A streaming service coming one day. We have no idea when it's coming out. I will be in the same room as Chick-fil-A leadership in early November, so there is a chance that I'll be able to pitch some of these.
I love it.
You hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast. Here's some of our favorites.
All right. I like this one from Auntie Amy, mainly because I appreciate the obscure reference. You remember the Christopher Guest movie Mascots? Want that for people in the cow costumes. I would totally watch that. I rewatched Mascots recently because I felt like that was the only one in the Christopher Guest catalog I'd only seen one time. Still holds up. When he gets invited to perform at a school and he's on stage doing his routine and halfway through realizes it's a school for the blind, it is amazing because mascots can't talk or make any noise. And so it was a great scene. I don't know if you guys have seen Mascots recently.
I forgot it was for the pine.
It's I'm not saying it's his best work, but it's highly rewatchable. Like,
speaking of
scene to scene,
90s
it
movies,
works.
what's your favorite Christopher Guest movie?
I mean, it's evolved over the years, but I always go back to Spinal Tap, even though he didn't direct it. He was just the star of it, but that was like the first mockumentary. If I had to pick one he directed, it's probably, a lot of people are probably going to go with Waiting for Guffman. I'd probably go with Best in Show. Parker Posey and her husband's character, they're two adults with like braces
The yuppies.
who are constant. They're the most high strung people in the world. They alone, or like the constant theme of Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara's character of being broke and like trying to talk their way.
They're staying in the janitor's closet.
Switching
and
out
stuff.
credit cards. There's just so many good running gags to that movie that I feel like that one just hits still. What about you guys?
A lot of people with Christopher Guest movies are like they are with Wes Anderson movies, and it's almost like the first one you saw becomes the one you love the most because the other ones are so similar. You see them as derivative to your first one. And so, anyway, my favorite of all time, my favorite movie of all time with not just Christopher Guest movie is Waiting for Guffman. I have dressed up as little Corky as for Halloween many years. Like I love that movie. I watch it twice a year. Still have not shown it to Cohen yet. That's coming. But because I wouldn't be able to handle the disappointment if he didn't love it. You know what I mean? So it's like,
Best in Show was the first one I watched because that's one of my mom's all-time favorite movies. And I do love that one. But Waiting for Guffman is like, just the characters and all of them are truly so good.
Here's another hot take.
The DQ.
Yeah, there'll always be a place for me at the Dairy Queen. This is a hot take, and I don't know if Ricky Gervais has any history, but I'd be bold enough to say if there was no Christopher Guest, there'd be no Office, because The Office just co-opted the mockumentary style and the cutaways, like the quick cutaways to characters talking to the camera and like humor, like expository scenes that are really funny that reveal something about the character, people looking at the camera. Like Christopher Guest nailed that before The Office or Parks and Rec or any of those other shows that follow that format. Christopher Guest set the mold for all of those shows.
And Waiting for Guffman in particular leans into the mundanity and the absurdity, but very, very subtle. Whereas like Best in Show is a little bit more over the top, you know, because it's a more over the top world that they're trying to cover. But the fact that it's just like so droll and slow, The Office really does tap into that. You're right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Any other feedback?
Daniel Clardy said he always thought a Game of Thrones style show based on the Old Testament would go incredibly hard. I do agree.
And it would be rated hard R. It'd be more explicit.
It really would.
There's incest. There's
there's no other way to tell the story.
Wars. Yeah, it's graphic.
Have you ever seen the Good Liars clips online? Obviously, they these two guys who pose as journalists and they go to Trump rallies and interview people, and they're very straight faced, and so the Trump people fall in thinking they're talking to the press, and the guys like ask them very sincere questions about their values and what they stand for. And one, they got into the book banning topic the other day, and we don't want this and this and this in front of the kids. You wouldn't want a story that said this and this and this, right? Yeah. Do you think the Bible should be in the schools? Of course it should. Okay, everything I just said is from the Bible.
Yeah.
The people's shock of like, I don't think I've actually read the Bible. You know what I mean? It's like, no, I mean, the Bible's crazy. The Old Testament's nuts.
Yeah. Especially the OT, you know?
Yeah.
The OG OT.
I like Cynthia's suggestion for a Chick-fil-A dating game where couples compete in different like competitions and stuff, whatever, like nugget
Is it called I Love Them Nugs? No. Sorry.
No, it's not.
Find someone by Sunday.
Yeah, you have to find someone by Sunday, otherwise you're out. That makes sense. There's a time crunch. You got to go to church.
And I could see Someone by Sunday, the new Chick-fil-A original series.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I like it. All right, well, there's a lot more where that came from. Go read our mentions at Relevant Podcast. Okay, it's time for this week's
editorial question of the week. Hey.
Well, we got talking organically, just talking about like older movies, TV shows that we used to love that nobody really talks about anymore, and going back and revisiting them. So we want to know from you, what are some of your most loved things from years gone by? I would say, let's go 1980s, 90s, and early 2000s, like vintage stuff that you love, that you think still holds up, and more people should love the way you love it. Hit us up, tell us yours, tell us why you love it. And if you can, find a little 30-second YouTube clip, send that, and we'll play some on the show next week as well. We will make Cohen watch all of them.
Yes.
And we will tell you the high school perspective on the thing you love.
I will be submitting clips from the High School Musical franchise.
Oh, God.
Because it does still hold up.
We said it has to hold up to
or be
more
comedy.
than just
Can we say
people who are 6 years old.
It can't be unintentional comedy. Let's put that caveat.
It was
Has to be
intentional comedy.
Was it?
There were some funny parts. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Hit us up on X at Relevant Podcast, and we'll read our favorites on next week's show. Well, many thanks to Aodhan King for joining us today. Make sure to check out his new solo music. Go over to Spotify or Apple Music, and there's 3, 4, 5 singles now. A couple came out today. Go check them out. Also, make sure to check out issue 115 of Relevant. It's out now. You can read the web version for free. Just click the magazine tab at relevantmagazine.com. If you want the beautiful, interactive digital magazine experience, you can get it. Just sign up for Relevant Plus. We have a great feature with Letitia Wright. We have Judah and the Lion. We have Maya Moore. We have Carl Lentz. We have Colony House. Ton of great content. Don't miss it. Relevant Plus is the best way to experience the content. You get the digital magazine, you get ad-free, unlimited reading at relevantmagazine.com, and you get this podcast commercial-free as well. You can sign up for as low as $2.50 a month. Check it out at the website. All right, on that note, we'll wrap it up. I'm Cameron Strang.
I'm Jesse Carey.
I'm Emily Brown.
We'll see you on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Relevant Podcast. Check out our features, interviews, and news updates every day at relevantmagazine.com. And make sure to follow Relevant on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest. For more great podcasts, browse the shows on the Relevant Podcast Network, which you can find at our site. And while you're there, don't miss the all-new era of Relevant Magazine. A new issue releases every other month at relevantmagazine.com.
You really got to appreciate like the nuances of historic baseball.
Relevant Podcast Network.